Good afternoon, everyone. In Matthew 16:24, Jesus said, then Jesus told his disciples, "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." What does it mean for those of us who want to follow Jesus today, to take up our cross? Well, first of all, it doesn't mean trying to take up Jesus' cross. Jesus took his own cross, and what he did on the cross was sufficient and effective once for all time. There's no need for any further sacrifice. He did what he needed to do on the cross. But how does that leave us and our crosses? What about us? Well, we would like more people to come to church and worship with us. We know that. But in the scriptures, we don't find Jesus telling people to get themselves to church, to attend synagogue, or go to the temple to worship. In other words, he didn't tell them to go to church. Instead, he went out to where people were, he met with them, and he blessed them there. So I think the imagery of taking up our crosses can mean two things. At least it means two things to me. First, we're going to be going someplace. And secondly, it's going to be uncomfortable at times. But let me hasten to add, not too uncomfortable. Because he said in another place, "Take my yoke on you and learn from me. You will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So where should we go to find where Jesus is already quietly serving people that he cares about, and where we can go to participate with him? Well, we might go to work or to school. We might go shopping. We might go out and get a cup of coffee. We might take a walk around our neighborhoods. Everywhere we go, we encounter people that Jesus loves. I'm old and retired, so I can't go very far and I can't do very much. But here's where I think he has told me to follow him: to the local senior citizen center and to a charity called Foothills Kitchen, where I help prepare and serve free meals to the homeless and poor in the community. Wherever I go, whatever I do, the goal is to take Jesus' love to a hurting world. I'm not skilled at evangelism. I don't know how to turn a conversation into a meaningful sharing of the gospel. I can't fix others' problems. Only Jesus can do that. But I can at least smile, and I can greet people. I can learn some of their names. I can listen for a few minutes to what they have to say, what they want to talk about. I can ask them about themselves if it seems appropriate and they seem to want to talk. So many people are lonely and need to talk. Maybe I can be a friend to somebody who needs a friend in some of these places. Perhaps I can be a friend while the triune God is actually doing the real work of opening their hearts and reaching their hearts. There's a book I just read called Surprise the World, and it suggests intriguing others into an interest in the gospel by living what the author calls questionable lives. Showing genuine interest in people is unusual. It doesn't seem like it should be, but apparently it really is. It makes people wonder. And people that wonder sometimes ask questions. Maybe I can learn to answer some of them. We're told to be ready to give an answer for the hope that lies in us. Maybe we can do that, but always with gentleness and respect. Just listening to others when they need to talk seems like it should be easy, but it isn't. I struggle with it. It's hard to listen. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. That's where discomfort comes in, where you think, I want to pay attention. I want to hear what they have to say. And so sometimes they're rambling on, and it's hard. It's hard. But I'm convinced that Jesus is at work in places like these, in the kitchen where the homeless people come, and in the senior center where senior citizens who are oftentimes single, lonely, they come to socialize and to be with others. I wish I were better. I wish I were better at turning conversations toward the gospel. Maybe I can learn. Not real sure, I'm trying to, but at least I can pick up my cross and follow Jesus to places where he's already working. So, should we take up our crosses? Thank you.
You all had time to take a breath while I got up here, right? Oh no, it's him again. I was sitting in front of my computer and I'm jotting down notes, what I wanted to say, how I wanted to organize it. And when I got on the second page, I go, this isn't going to work. It'll take me longer to read my notes than actually gives the thought that I'm trying to get out. And then I somehow ran across Psalm 86, verse 7. It said, I call on you, God, because you answer me. That's simple enough, isn't it? So I decided to leave my notes at home to prove that. There's nothing on either side, okay? Except I put down a psalm there. How to say this? I had an experience this last year I've never had similar. It involved my God, it involved my family, and it involved my church. We got a phone call in January to the effect that your daughter, Evelyn, our youngest daughter, I have another younger son, had a stroke up on Highway 80. Now, not everybody knows where Highway 80 is, but if you're on Highway 80, you go by Donner Pass. You ever heard of that? That's up in the mountains. When they talk about snowdrifts, they talk about feet, yards. 6 foot when we went through and 8 foot when we came back. That's a lot of snow. I can't believe they keep the road open at all. So we were a little concerned, and they assured us that the Caltrans people that were working there saw she was having an issue. She managed to, stop her truck and make everything safe. The CHP was called. The ambulance said they couldn't do anything because of the snow. So she took a helicopter ride to Reno. Never been to Reno, never thought much of it. So we did what we generally do is we panicked. I got out my phone and I'm texting everybody I know and said, gee, could you let this person know, and creating chains and making phone calls, and my wife is doing this and doing family, and we're doing members, and all the while I'm thinking, my God answers me when I call. So ran down to storage, picked up my trailer because I knew I want to be a long ways from home, need some basics. We threw a suitcase together, literally, because I ended up in 2 foot of snow wearing shorts and tennis shoes. That interesting, yeah. I found Walmart. And, and off we went. Now, this is in the afternoon, so we're heading to my sister's house, who lives in Dinuba, or Rossi, in Dinuba area. It's just between Fresno and Visalia. And I don't drive like I used to. I used to be able to drive a truck 8, 10, 12 hours a day, not bother me at all. But I'm pulling this trailer east on the 58. The weather is really expressing itself. We had winds coming at us, rain, got up to Tehachapi, there was snow, and my truck ran out of gas as I pulled into the pump. So I go, well, my God is still with me. I'm not walking. Made it to my sister's house. The next day, made it to my daughter's house. And I don't know if they're still with the pictures. They could put up photo number 1. It just shows my daughter's house. This is northeast of Sacramento, up in the mountains. Well, that's actually where I wound up. The one before that, but that doesn't matter. It's not really much. There it is. That's a little house out in the middle of the mountains, and most of the roads probably should be dirt. They'd be better. They're paved, but I don't know if you really want to drive on them, and they're not really a full lane. Kind of like England. Better hope there's enough dirt on this side to get them both through at the same time. And we went from there. We stayed a day because we couldn't get through Highway 80. It was an 8 foot of snow from this side all the way to Reno. And how they cleared it, I don't know what they did. We're praying this whole time. And that's what 1 Thessalonians says, 5 verse 17. It's one of those big verses, pray always. I learned what that means. I was praying the whole time I was driving, whole time I was sleeping, whole time I'm thinking about my daughter. I include my wife in that. We both worried together. We finally made it to Reno. They got the mountains open. What they did with the snow, I don't know. As we're driving, looking up, is this a tunnel or is this just a pile of snow we're driving through? If you ever seen some of those pictures, the snow was like way up here and you can barely see the sunlight. Made it all the way to Reno, met our other daughter who was already there, and I had the shock of my life, my wife and I both. We walked into ICU, and here's my baby daughter with tubes and hoses. You could hardly recognize her. 3 or 4 nurses running around her constantly for several days. I was still praying, and I was helpful that y'all were praying too, because I could feel it. When everybody prayed, I felt better. I tried to keep my morale the best I could to be an example to her. She started making so much progress that the doctors and the nurses couldn't believe it. And I said, well, I've got all my friends in church praying for her. They go, yeah, we still can't believe it. So I know prayer works. She went through ICU in a few weeks. She went to nursing care because she had issues. Anybody that's been around strokes knows that. And I was constantly praying, and I could feel when people were praying for us and for her, because I get that extra strength. I could walk into a room and go, I don't know, but then because I have God behind me and I have all my family behind me, all my brethren, she just kept advancing, kept getting better. Where in just a couple of months, we were able to, what do they call that, kidnap her and take her away. She'd been in there too long. She was getting around on her own pretty good, still needed a little help. So we snuck her out. Well, not really. We went the common route of asking permission and getting medications and stuff. Now you can show that second one that you showed, and took her from this nice, warm, skilled care to, see if she gets that little picture going. I know it's tough. There you go. To the KOA in Boomtown. Now there's about 2 foot of snow. So you go from a warm nursing care into a frozen trailer. No, the heater worked, don't worry. And we sat there for a couple of days because, well, Highway 80 was closed due to snow. Well, we had to put up with that, so we lived in it for a couple of days. And finally, just more praying and talking and texting more people and emailing more people. It opened out of nowhere. We weren't even expecting it. So we got in the trailer, we packed it up on the truck, and headed back to that first place we went, my daughter's house. Now in all this, it was all sudden, we actually had members, and I won't mention names, that actually donated or contributed or just flat gave us money for gas. That worked out well. We're on limited income. When we spend our money, it's gone. Okay? So we made it over, we made it back. We packed up her house. That's an easy statement to say, but it involved so much stuff that I won't even begin to explain it. But all her stuff is in a place in storage here in Calamasa, which is the other side of Yucaipa, which is this side of Beaumont. And that's more information than we need anyway, right? It's off Interstate 10. It's all full, and she's living with us, doing fine. The prayers still help. I can still tell when somebody's praying, because I need a lot of it, because sometimes I'm going, God answered me? Remember that first one back there in Psalms? I called on God because he answered me, and he does, and he has, and he still does all the time. Excuse me a little here. A little bit of emotion in there somewhere, trying to hide. But I believe in prayer so much. I mean, I always have. But prayer was, I could feel it. I could feel it holding me up. I could feel it helping my wife and I just move around, just being with our daughter. We were there every day we could to keep her morale up. And your prayers kept our morale up. So that's the message that I wanted to get about prayer, that it works. And sometimes if you get to experience it where you can feel the prayer working. I've never had that before. I've had prayer for various ailments and problems, but I've never felt prayer like that. There were so many people praying. I mean, people at the little restaurant I go to, friends and neighbors, and the church. Couldn't believe how many people, because we just felt lifted up all the time. Like we were able to go a little bit more, go a little bit more. We did make it home. We did set her up. She's going to different various doctors and stuff and getting all the therapy. And she's very aware that prayer got her through all this. So I hope to bring her to church one day, but she has a few more physical therapy appointments to go. Probably I should too. And I don't want to get too involved because I'll be using that second page pretty soon. I have a tendency to try to explain too much. So now that you know my opinion on prayer, let's move into a chance to become part of that family, to recognize we're part of that family and do what we were asked to do. So if you grab your elements, I believe they put some back here for me. All right. If you haven't got them, get them ready. This is an opportunity that we were given, and when you can feel it, you can feel it. But we're all one big family. Just like I could feel all the prayers that were coming to keep us going, this is part of the family. This is a part of Jesus Christ's body. He says, take it and be part of the family and be ready to be healed. Let's take our bread or whatever the chip is and recognize that we're all the same family. We're all eating the same flesh. We're all being blessed by the same God. Let's take the other side and we'll peel this back, and if you're lucky, you don't spill it all over your shirt. That's what I usually do. And this is the blood that Christ shed for us. We've discussed that today already. There's songs. You couldn't say more than what the song said, right? All is well because of my God. And here we have to be part of that family and part of that one blood. We have what represents this now. And with that, I'll say a small prayer. Our Heavenly Father, our Creator God, we again come before you, thanking you for all that you've done for us, thanking you for all your salvation, what you've gone through. We thank you that we can come and be a family, we can be a part of each other, and we can help each other by whatever means we have. And prayer is one of the strongest means. We just pray and thank you for all this, and pray in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.